Howdy and welcome back to Texas Traveler RC. I've got my fuselage all framed up now, glued up. I've gone back and found any gaps I could and filled those with glue. We'll have to use some wood filler in some spots, especially where I glued in these cutouts for what was going to be dowel rods across here. Like I said, I'm planning on using dowels up front and blocks in the back, threaded blocks in the back to bolt my wing onto this. But we're getting to a spot in the build where we're going to be putting in the landing gear block in the bottom of the fuselage down here. I think you can probably see this opening right here. And to do that, we're going to get into our first epoxy application. And I'm using, you could probably do this with 5-minute epoxy. I'm using 30-minute epoxy. I think it's stronger than 5-minute, and this landing gear has to be able to withstand some abuse. So the instructions did say to coat the bottom of this with CA accelerator, and once you got the epoxy in place, to turn this over and use CA on these overhangs down there. But I don't think I want to do that. I want to get the epoxy good and dry first, and then we will proceed with, once that's dry and cured, we'll proceed with using CA on the bottom of that just to tack all those pieces together. I trust the epoxy more than I do the CA in this particular application. Another thing is I've got some little screwdrivers here that I'm going to use back here as a wedge just to make sure that we're getting good wood-to-wood contact in here with the epoxy. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix up a little epoxy, and it isn't going to take much. I do have some that's just note cards. We got like 1,000 of them. And I think we've used in the last 5 years maybe 10. So I just got some note cards. I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of hardener here, just about a little bit bigger than a dime, almost getting close to a nickel right now. And then I'm going to do the same with some resin, just a little bit more there. And close these up and put them back here. I'm going to take a piece of scrap wood and I'm just going to move this hardener over to the resin, and I'm just going to start mixing that up. Like I said, we got 30-minute epoxy here, so we've got quite a bit of working time with it. You can't wait like 20 minutes and then start working with it. It does start to set up, but we've got plenty of working time that I'm not in a bind with getting this all on camera, I hope. And that should be, it didn't take much to mix it. I do have some brushes and stirring sticks ordered from Dubro, which is a company here in the United States, and I highly recommend them. They've been making hardware and building supplies for, I think, over 60 years now. And it's just one of those companies that I like to use. So let me see if I can get this camera moved around, and we'll move on to the next step. Now, hopefully you guys get a good look at this, but all we're going to do is I'm going to take this same stick that I mixed this epoxy up with, and I'm going to put a layer right here on this this former inside of here, where it goes up like that. Make sure I get it all down here. We don't need it up top. Like I said, we got plenty of time to work with this, so I'm not that worried about work time, and it's not going to take too much. I think we mixed up just the perfect amount. This is a lot easier to do with brushes, I'll have to say, you know. Go and just make sure I use up all of this. I think right here needs some more. And you don't have to come all the way up this former. You just come up as far as you see on that block. And you do want to get some on that little overhang down there. I think we got a good bit. I'm going to see if I can get just a little more off this pad. And when I said I mixed up the perfect amount, there's nothing going to waste here, that is for sure. Let's move that out of the way now. Now I'm going to slide this block in here. Just like that. And I'm trying to kind of keep it back for right now since I'm sliding this in. I'm trying to center it up on these holes that are coming through this block. I think we're about equal distance from both sides. Put some pressure on it right there, and I'm going to take a screwdriver, real thin screwdriver, and I'm going to put this in this side. And then I'm going to come across, and y'all probably aren't going to be able to see this, but I'm going to come across and I'm going to do the same on this side. And I hate that my ugly mug got in there, but now we're just going to wait. I think we're still centered up. Yep. I might take just a little bit more. See if I can get some right down in here. See if I can spread some right down in here. Yeah. Just like that. Now we're going to wait for this to cure. I'm just going to leave this stick here on this piece of note card, and that's going to be, I'll be able to tell when this epoxy is good and cured. And we'll come back, and we have some other things to do in this part of the plane. There's some blocks that come up on the side which we'll put in with CA. There are some, it's kind of like a torque rod across here. It's also used for mounting your servos in here. One of the things I'm thinking about doing is, instead of using wood push rods with metal wires on both ends, I'm thinking about using some Sullivan semi-flexible push rods in here. I think it's an easier installation. I think it looks better. I've had problems with wooden rods in the past getting in a little bind, so I'm just kind of like talking off my chest right now. I'm probably getting too far ahead of myself, but that's where we stand right now, and once this cures we'll move on to the next step. So now we're going to put our landing gear torque blocks in. Since this is down in the fuselage, it's going to be hard for me to show this on camera, but basically I'm going to put glue on the bottom of them and on the sides and line them up with the landing gear wire holes down here. And then I'm going to have to hold them in place as the glue sets. But anyway, that's what I'm about to do here. And once I get that done, we'll move on and do something else. Okay, so we've got our landing gear torque rod blocks glued in now. Now there's a side support, kind of servo rail, that's going to go in here. So there's a notch back here in this former. We're just going to push this into this notch. And then you see we've got the fuselage doubler right there, and it's cut out to where it'll fit against there. I'm going to put some glue on top of the torque rod block to glue it in there, and then once that's dry, I'm going to make sure that I push in the side of the fuselage, and then I'll do some medium CA there and some accelerant to get that all done. And it'll provide a little bit of support for here, and that's going to be the rail that we use to put cross rails on to mount our servos for the throttle, elevator, and rudder. Okay, so we got our landing gear torque blocks and our servo rails glued into both sides. Now we're going to put in some balsa wing saddles. It's just a piece of balsa that fits down in the side of the fuse like this. It is beveled on one end to match here at the front, and I'm just going to glue these in with some thick CA, since it's going to take a little bit for that thick CA to set up, and I can basically hold this in place and let it all get a good glue bond. At the end, might have to sand it down just a little bit to make it and the side of the fuse match up just perfectly, but I'm going to do that now and then I'll get back with you. So we've got our wing saddle blocks glued in, but now we're going to pick up this and move it to the side, and I'm just going to set this out of the way and I'll be right back. Alright, I've cleared all that stuff off the board. We're getting to the point where we're going to have to put the firewall in. The nice thing about this kit is it comes with a pre-drilled firewall, but the motor mount that comes with the kit is for 2-stroke, and I'm going with the 4-stroke Enya 80, or at least that's my hope. So right now, I bought the motor mount. I was able to find it on eBay that the instructions call for when you're using a 4-stroke. It's supposed to have the same hole pattern as this. I'm going to take this out of the bag right quick and see if that's accurate. Yes, sir. Those holes match up just perfect. Now for the next step is to see if my motor will fit on this motor mount. So let's just pull this bad boy out of the box. Here he is. Or she, I guess I should call her she. And wouldn't you know it, this 60 size motor mount will not fit this Enya. This Enya does have a, it's the 80 is basically a bored out 60, so I was hoping that it would fit on there, but these this part of the case where the front case mates with the crankcase is just not being fair. So I really do want to use this Enya. Maybe I can, it just does not, this carb is so far back here, it's just not long enough. I imagine I'll have to go with a 90 size, and I don't know if that's going to fit up with the holes here. I hope it does. But anyway, I bought this engine on eBay. I haven't ran it. My intention is that we're going to go off on a little side trip here where I'm going to tear this down, clean it up, put new bearings, just totally rebuild it. I doubt the ring needs to be rebuilt, but I want to go through this thing totally and test run it to where I know I've got an engine that is workable. If that doesn't work out, I've got a Magnum 90 I could sit on here. But first I'm going to do some things with the ultrasonic cleaner and test some different cleaning agents than what people have been talking about online for cleaning up aluminum. I've got some old pieces and parts of engines that I'm going to use. I'm not going to experiment on this, but I'm going to experiment on something else and hopefully find something that works as well or better than what people are currently using. So anyway, when I come back and see you again, we're going to be working with the ultrasonic, and I'll just tell you folks good night, and gentlemen out there over 40, get your PSA checked please, and I hope y'all have a blessed one.